Hello class, welcome to a room 222 Photoshop tutorial. Today's project is the smoke effect project. So what we're going to do is take a photograph and we are going to apply a smoke effect to it, which I think is pretty neat. You're going to do a mandatory one and then a choice one of this project. So let's open up Photoshop. You're going to go to File, Open, and we're going to go to Useful Tools, Photoshop Tools and Resources, Stock Photos, People, and you're going to pick Side Angle Headshot. It's going to bring up this lady. Next we're going to open up a new canvas, so we're going to go to File, New. And you're going to make the width 3000 pixels, the height 2600 pixels, and we'll make it 300 pixels per inch for the resolution. I like using 300. We're going to say OK. We're then going to go back to our headshot. We're going to make it a PNG. So I would suggest just clicking on the magic eraser tool. Click, drag, click. And we're going to use our move tool. We're going to pull her forward. We're going to drag and drop her onto the screen. I know I did that very quickly. At this point in time in the course, you should know how to do these things, but if you don't, or if this is a new time for you, you can slow the video down and re-go over those areas. Next, we're going to resize it with the transform tool, so Control T. And I'm going to make, if you hold down Shift, it'll keep proportions, and I'm going to make her roughly about 3/4 or 2/3 of the canvas size. So now she's at a little bit of an angle, and it looks like this. Eventually I'm going to put a border around this so it covers anything that is unnecessary. You could even make her just a tad bit bigger. And so next on the background layer, we're going to create a gradient. So select background, go down to the adjustments, and we're going to click gradient. And now we are going to select this black and gray. And I'm going to click this, and we're going to make it a medium gray. Click OK. We're going to change the style. Oops, you have to click OK again. We're going to change the style to radial. We're going to change the angle to 45. We're going to click Scale, and we're going to change it to 180%. And then we're going to select Reverse. And then we're going to click OK. And we're going to actually then delete this background layer. So now we just have layer 1, and we have the gradient fill. We're going to make a duplicate layer next of layer 1 and call it Liquify. So to duplicate the layers, you're going to do Control J. And we're going to double click on the letters, the words, and we're going to rename it Liquify, because we're going to use the Liquify tool on this later on. So now once that we have our two layers, we're going to make this Liquify layer invisible right now because we don't need it. And then we're going to go down to the adjustment layers again, and we're going to create a gradient map. This will make the image black and white. And then we want to, it's called clipping, we want to clip it to this layer 1. So to do that, you're going to hold down Alt, and you're going to hover your cursor between gradient map 1 and layer 1 and click. And see how it clips it to this layer. And then we're going to do this again for a black and white layer. So we're going to go back to Adjustments, click Black and White, hold down Alt, and clip it to this layer 1. And then we are going to change black and white to a soft light. And then change the opacity to 50%. There we go. Now we have a nice black and white image. We're going to go back to layer 1. We're going to hold down Alt, and we're going to make a layer mask. and by holding down Alt, it makes it automatically black. And then we're going to go to our brush tool, and we're going to color along the beginning or front part of the girl's face. If you double click on the mask part, it's going to bring up the density, and if you lower the density, you can actually see the girl. While you do this, you only want to bring forth the front part of her face. You don't want to have all of the other stuff in the back. That'll come later. The smoke brushes you can find if you go to Useful Tools, Photoshop Tools or Resources, Extra Tools and Photos, and then it's Normal Smoke and Smoke Brush. If it doesn't work for you, let me know, and I can see if I can log in, upload it, and then you can go from there. Make sure that your foreground and background colors are black and white, and that foreground is in the front and black is in the back. And make sure you are on your layer mask, and then you can start clicking. See, it brings it forward a little bit, just like that. Something else which is handy and you will probably use is the rotate tool. So if you hold down R, you can actually, and then you click and you drag, you can rotate the canvas. Because you can't, which is unfortunate, rotate the brushes, so you have to rotate the canvas instead, which is annoying, but it is what it is. And you can bring back the density 100% so you can see what it looks like fully done. Something else too that you can do is after you kind of have what you want, you can actually go then to the regular brush and then make it obviously smaller. And then zoom in a little bit on your image using Control Plus. And then fill in around the eyes and the nose to kind of define them a little bit more, and the mouth, and even like the chin. Because those are points that you want defined. Because those are points that you want to definitely have defined in your image. And if you find something that you don't like, so I don't want this stuff, you can always use your X key and click to the black, and then you can erase this extra that you might not want, at least at this point in time. So I'm going to start with this. I like this quite a bit. And what I might actually do is make this a little bit more defined. So it goes straight down. And that's where we'll start. I'm going to just travel over that a little bit so there's not such a defined edge. Okay, so then once you have something that looks similar to this, remember less is more in this case. If you find that you want to go back through it, you can. Whenever I was first doing this several times, I just started over and started again. It's kind of hard to find something that really works, but do the best. You can also, speaking of that, starting over and things, so say like in here there's a lot of hair that I don't really necessarily want. It doesn't look very smoky-ish. So I can again use the black on top, and I can go back over this and kind of, there we go, add a little bit of smoky feature. And then I might have to go back in with the soft brush and go over the eye again. Remember, we want to keep these features really defined if we can. Perfect. Control 0 brings us to frame size. I'm going to rotate this so it is level. Okay. So then next, we're going to okay, so then the next we're going to make the liquify layer visible. So we're going to click the little eye, and now we can see the liquify layer. And then we are going to hold down Control and select the black and the gradient. And then we're going to hold down Alt, and we're going to pull these up above liquify, and it makes a copy of them. I want to clip them to my liquify layer, so again I'm going to hold down Alt and hover over this area, and it's going to create that arrow. I'm going to click, and I'm going to hold down Alt again and do the same thing for the black and white. And then next I'm going to click on the liquify layer, and I'm going to also click on adjustments. So, or I'm going to go back to adjustments, click on the levels tool. And I'm just going to make this just a tad darker. Just like that. And then next I'm going to click back on again the liquify layer, and I'm going to go up to filter, and I'm going to click on liquify. And I have my image here. I'm going to freeze part of it, so I want the beginning of the face to stay the same. I don't want it to be affected at all by the liquify tool. So I'm going to click on the freeze mask tool, and I'm just going to click and drag over this. Just like the front of her face. So this is never going to be affected. So then next I'm going to go to forward warp tool, and I'm going to make this as large as I can using the bracket, and we're going to click and drag, and we're going to make this hair and this body as big as we can. And you just click and you drag. And the reason for this is we're going to use this then for the smoke tool. It has to be able to find something, and this is what it's going to find. The bigger you can make it, the better off you're going to be. Okay, so when you get it to look something similar to this, you're then going to click OK. And it's going to make this look like this on this image. And then you're going to apply a mask layer again to this liquify. So hold down Alt, select the mask, and then we are going to apply the smoke again, the smoke brushes, to this image. Make sure again you have black and white. White is on top, white is in the foreground, and again, remember, less is more in this situation. You want it to look as realistic as possible. And you're just going to apply this as much as you can. It might take you a couple of times to figure out what looks the best. And that's okay. As you're working too, you might want to crop the image so it kind of goes out of the picture, so there's no like defined line. And then what I would also like you to do is create a group, so a folder, and then within that group I want you to use the rectangle tool and make the fill black, and you're going to create a black border. And this will also help with such problems. All you do is you just click and you drag. You can always make the border smaller or larger later on. Okay, I like this image, so I'm going to leave it just like this. Oh, I'm going to fix that. Let's just make a new layer. And we're going to add the brush tool, and we're going to make it a circle. Ooh, and we're going to make it a lot smaller. I'm just going to go over this. Okay, and then when you're done, you're going to go to File, Save As, and save it as a JPEG, as of always, in the Finished Projects folder. Remember, you're going to do a mandatory, and you're going to do a choice. Smoke effect. I would suggest that when you find a picture, make sure it's a side shot. It doesn't really, or a side angle. Doesn't really look good if it's facing forward, because it kind of defeats the purpose. If you have any questions, as of always, let me know. Alright, off you go.